Hi, everyone. Gene here. Welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, where every single week we answer the most common and uncommon questions about tapping and EFT and how you can get the most out of your tapping practice so you can actually take the actions that you want and eliminate self-sabotage. Today, we're going to conclude our 5-part series on the most common questions I receive on the website about how to get the most out of tapping. Back in part 1, we talked about how to use tapping more regularly because people bump into the problem of doing that all the time. I have created a resource that makes it super simple for you. Imagine what it would be like to open up your inbox every single morning and find that there is a tapping audio and a tapping script waiting for you to help you make your day better. And now imagine doing that for the next 248 days. That's right, I have 248 tapping audios and scripts waiting for you that you can get access to all at once and get a daily reminder to. All you need to do is go to tappingqa.com/daily to get all of the information on that. tappingqa.com/daily, and you'll get all of the information you need to get 248 tapping audios and scripts. This is Gene Monterastelli, and welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, recorded live to tape from Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 340, originally aired December 5th, 2018. Hi, everyone. I hope this finds you well wherever you are and whatever time of day you're getting a chance to listen to this. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Today, we are going to conclude our 5-part series on the most commonly asked questions that I get on the website. Today, we're going to talk about not knowing where to start because you have too many issues to tap for. One of the amazing things about tapping is that it can be used for so many different things. We can use it for physical things. We can use it for emotional things. We can use it for things in our past. We can use it for things that we want to take action for in the future. We can use it to ground ourselves in this moment. And that's an amazing thing, but it also becomes an overwhelming thing. Because I don't know about you, but the list of things that I need to tap on is super, super long. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to share with you the 3 ways that you can approach tapping when you don't know where to begin. And if you choose any or all of these approaches, it's going to make your tapping so much easier. Number 1, just start. Oftentimes we feel like we want to get the most out of anything that we're doing, so we don't want to waste time and energy by pursuing something that isn't going to be useful. So we want to go after the biggest issue or the most powerful issue or the deepest issue or whatever it is. But in the beginning, sometimes we cannot see what the deepest, biggest, most powerful, most useful issue is. I have 2 analogies to help you to understand this. Analogy number 1 is, imagine the old everlasting gobstopper. For those of you who are not familiar with the American candy, you might have seen it in the Willy Wonka movies. The way that they're sold in America as an actual confectionery that we get to consume is there's a sweet tart in the middle, and then there are a number of layers of hard candy on the outside that are different colors. So as you suck on it, it's almost like a jawbreaker. As you suck on it, the colors change, but eventually you get to the sweet tart that's on the inside. And our tapping sometimes is the exact same way. That even though the issue we want to get to, in the analogy, the sweet tart in the inside, we can't get to it because it's coated with so many other issues. And so by starting with whatever is available, what we do is we get the red layer away, and then there's the blue layer, and then we get the blue layer away, and then we get the green layer. And by taking the little bits moving forward, it then eventually leads us to that thing in the center. And so by just starting, what we're doing is we're actually working on the core issue, even though we don't realize it, because we're starting with what we have access to. The other way I like to think of tapping is there is an issue that is in my backyard, and I step out my back door, but because it's early in the morning, there is mist everywhere. So I can't actually see what is in the backyard. But as the sun rises and it warms up, that mist slowly melts away. And all of a sudden I see more and more of my backyard until all of a sudden I can see everything there. And when we're tapping, what happens is not only do we get relief, but we also get clarity because the thing we are getting relief from is out of the way, which allows us to see the real issue. So as an example, let's say, I've been injured on and off over the course of the summer. And as I was injured on and off over the course of the summer and the course of the fall, it got in my way of being able to work out. There was even a 2.5-week period where I wasn't allowed to work out at all. And I wanted to tap on my lower back and the pain that was in my lower back, but I felt so much frustration because my body was letting me down and I wasn't getting an opportunity to do what I really wanted to do. I couldn't actually access the pain in my body very, very well because of all of the emotion that was in the way. So I started with the emotion that I was feeling first. And by tapping on the emotion I was feeling first, it created space for me to be able to see the core issue. So when we don't know where to start, just starting is super valuable because as you do it, you're going to take away the emotional edge that you feel right now, and it's going to start to give you clarity about where to go. When in doubt, ask the question, how do I feel right now? And even if that feeling is, I don't know where to start with my tapping, start there. Even though I don't know where to start with my tapping, I give myself permission to be easy with myself, knowing that tapping on these points is going to create space, which is going to make it so that I see the real problem. Something as simple as that. And by working in that way, you're going to clear the mist away, you're going to see the full backyard, and you're going to see the problem you actually want to go after. So number one, just start. Number two, if you don't know where to start, imagine the action that you want to take next and find the emotion that's associated with taking that next action. So I look at my to-do list and I say, well, that's the most valuable thing on my to-do list. And so I tune in and I imagine myself doing that. And then I tap on the emotion that comes up for that. So then I'm not trying to find the biggest issue. I'm not trying to find the deepest issue. I'm not trying to find the most valuable issue. But I'm finding the issue that's really important because it's getting in the way of me doing what is next. And so by using that as an entry point, even if I'm not getting rid of the biggest thing, I'm getting rid of something that's going to allow me to take action and move forward in a thoughtful and deliberate way. And so by going through a process like that, it makes it a lot easier for you to move forward. So number two, think about the action you want to take next. Tap on any emotion around that. Number three, what we can do as we approach this is we can do something that I like to call basket tapping. And in basket tapping, what you do is you imagine a basket in front of you, and it could be a box, a jar, or whatever, anything you want, but a container of some sort. Typically for me, it's a giant basket. And you imagine taking all of the issues that you are conscious and unconscious of that need to be tapped on, and you imagine them being put into the basket. Sometimes for me, it looks like a stack of papers. Sometimes it looks like a bunch of marbles. Sometimes it looks like a whole bunch of icons that are just dumped in there, but that doesn't matter. And what I do is I start tapping for the entire basket. And so I just visualize the basket and I move from tapping point to tapping point. And as I do this, I might imagine the papers blowing away, the marbles evaporating, the basket getting smaller and smaller. Whatever your subconscious mind does, but just place your intention on that place. And what happens is you're able to clear a huge number of things all at once. And like in the first step, it's another way of just getting some clarity. Because oftentimes what happens when I do a few rounds of basket tapping is one issue comes really sharp into my mind. And because it's sharp in my mind, it makes it easy for me to move forward and know that's the place I want to start. When you have too many issues and you don't know where to begin, 3 really simple steps. Number 1, just start tapping. Tap on whatever is in front of you. It will give you clarity. 2, tap on the emotions that are around any action that you want to take next. 3, imagine a giant basket full of your issues and just tap on the basket without having to know what's going on in the basket and having to know what is being released as it lets go. If you choose any of those 3 tactics, what it's going to do is it's going to give you clarity so you know what the next obvious point is. And the last thing to keep in mind is to remember It's not as if we have this order inside of our head of the 100 issues we need to tap on in order 1 to 100, and we need to do that in that order. Obviously, each issue impacts us in a different way, but every single issue that you release gives you capacity, gives you space, gives you energy, gives you emotional strength to do what is next. So even if you're not getting rid of the most important thing, you're making it easier for you to face whatever is in front of you next and whatever is in front of you today. And by working in that way, it will make a huge, huge difference. So I'd love to hear how these work for you. You can always drop me a note, Gene, Gene at tappingqand.com. If you're listening on the website, just click on the contact link up above. If you're listening in the app, click on contact, and you can send me a voice memo right from inside of the app, or you can send me an email from inside of the app. I love hearing from people just like you. If you have not done so already, make sure you check out all 5 parts of this series where we look at the questions that I get asked the most commonly by people just like you. Those issues are 335, 36, 37, 39, and 40. 38 was a special Thanksgiving episode because it fell on the holiday. I would love to hear your feedback. And if you know someone in your life who could use this particular process that we talked about today, please, please, please be our ambassador. The most common way people find a podcast is on a recommendation of a friend. 60% of the population in the world have never actually listened to a podcast. And so you can be the gateway into the amazing world of podcasts and all the audio that is out there, and giving them something like this that might be useful for them today. My favorite emails in the world are emails where people say, I love your podcast and it was recommended to me by someone else. The highest honor I can receive from you is you passing this work on to someone else. That's when I know it's really successful. For the Tapping Q&A podcast, this is Gene Monterastelli. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you real soon. Bye-bye. The Tapping Q&A podcast is copyrighted Gene Monterastelli, Tapping Q&A 2016. All views expressed by guests are those of the guests and not necessarily of Gene Monterastelli or Tapping Q&A.